everybody, we're finally back home after 3 weeks in a row of races on the road. So we're gonna finally get caught up with all of the recaps that we missed. First race on the schedule was Gingerman Campaign to Prevent Gingervitis in Michigan. Now, one of the downsides of LeMons racing is air travel.
It's the only downside, really. There's no other downside.
Yeah, exactly.
No, everything else is great.
And so somehow, races in Michigan, Jeff and I get stranded overnight at DFW Airport in Texas, one of the worst places to be in general, let alone overnight. It was extremely butt terrible.
Also butt terrible at the Gingerman race. So there's these guys, they've got this Duster, it's got a Mitsubishi V6, potentially kind of a fast car. Phil loves to goad him, and he said, I'm gonna put you in Class C. Everybody's up in arms. That is terrible, that car, it is not fair, da-da-da. Car blew up so spectacularly. I think parts actually landed in DFW before you did. It was wonderful.
Now, another veteran team have a 78 Toyota Celica that also explodes into many pieces.
So regularly.
Over and over again. They've solved it. They figured, we're going to put a motor from a Chevy Cavalier into this thing and it's going to make everything great. And hey, I guess it solved their problems.
Yeah, it was sweet. So, Judgemobiles, I love it when we get great, sweet Judgemobiles. This time, we got a Harley Davidson. Man, that chopper was so awesome. Yeah, total fat bob. No, that was totally great. And we got this, I don't even know what you call this car.
It was like a Plymouth rat rod. It was great.
So terrifying. So terrifying. The heroic fix, really it was more like an impressive fast fix. So these guys, these Canadians, they bring this Cirrus down. You'll notice you never see a Cirrus or Stratus anymore. The cars have all blown up, and for good reason. Yeah. So they're driving this thing pretty late in the race. It blows up. Again, spectacular fashion.
Oh, there was fire and it was something.
Before the car was even off the hook of the paddock, they had the other motor out. It was jacked up. They were ready to go. I mean, it was like 45 minutes later, the car was back out with a brand new motor.
1 hour and 39 minutes from tow truck to back on track.
Like 45 minutes. Anyway, super impressive. There you go. Road fix.
I got screwed. Now, this has happened before, most notably in the instance of the K-Car, world famous LeMons K-Car, where Judge Phil says to a team, you ought to get this model, and then he shows them a picture, and then they go out and get it, and then life
is so terrible.
Life is horrible from them from that point forward. Yeah. So this, no exception. Phil's always wanted to see a Subaru XT, the excellent wedge-shaped 80s crazy dashboard machine, and it was bad. But here's one thing that I realized. You go on to Craigslist or you just read about Subarus on the internet and it's always, I got a WRX STI, it's stage 4, or like, but I decided to go to stage 6 because I wanted a little bit more trap speed. And it's like, what the hell is all of this stage business about? I think finally when these dudes brought the Subaru XT, finally figured out what the stages mean. Stage 1. Stage 2. Stage 3, Stage 4, Stage 5, Stage 6, Stage 7, Stage 8. So the moral of the story is, don't listen to Judge Phil. You want to do a Subaru, just get an Impreza and everything will be fine.
Special award was the most work to go backward award. Now these guys had a fairly competitive golf. They wanted to get into the supercar ranks. Oh, yeah. So they moved the powertrain into the back for that crisp mid-engine race car handling, and immediately made their lap about 25 seconds longer per lap. It was brilliant. Yeah.
So we had a special penalty for this race. Gingerman is right adjacent to South Haven, Michigan, very quaint little lakeside town, and they have a very picturesque lighthouse out on the lake. And so drivers that got a black flag, we made them go down to the lighthouse in their driving suit and take a photo with the picturesque lighthouse. Now, this was great. We had guys in their racing suits, dudes up there, with all the tourists.
Had a guy actually take his race car down there.
Dudes in a Mustang drove it to the lighthouse. That was excellent. So, the Wonderment Consortium, our longtime friends, the white VW Quantum, they get this penalty, and no problem, we'll go take a picture with that lighthouse. And they come back with some picture of a random water tower that the guy's like 100 yards away from, and it's like, dude, what the... So the judges are laughing so hard, and they found that to be so stupid that they awarded them the judge's choice.
Organizer choice, this new team, Sirius with a Z. There's a bunch of students, they had this MR2, and they showed up incredibly hopeless. I mean, They couldn't read, they couldn't drive, I mean, they couldn't use the zipper on their suit. Utterly hopeless. Judge Steve took them under his wing, showed them how to do stuff, and they kind of figured it all out. It was the most amazing thing. Usually these guys, they show up hopeless. It's because their whole lives they have been hopeless. They will be hopeless until they die. These guys, they just kind of didn't know. They figured out by the end of the weekend, they were doing better and they were smarter and they knew more than probably 3/4 of the teams out there. Admittedly, low bar, but such a good job. We gave them the organizer choice.
And that brings us to the illustrious Index of Effluency. Now here's another car that we've wanted to see for a long time. Of course, the General Motors Dustbuster minivan.
Oh,
now,
so good.
The Dustbuster van in general is just kind of, it's like Toyota came out with the Previa and they're like, oh, that's space age, and General Motors, we can't do that. And then they like took a piece of construction paper and we have styled our vehicle. And so we've been begging for one of these to come to LeMons. And these guys finally did it, Pontiac Transport, as opposed to...
Which is the best. I mean, really, of the whole generation.
Yeah, it's way better than the Lumina APV.
Yeah.
So
only losers have that.
So as is often the case with great cars that don't really need a theme, these guys, of course, themed it as a dustbuster. They put the handle on the back. They brought us a vintage dustbuster. And they continued that sort of 80s theme throughout their whole deal. And so they had what they called a first generation GoPro, which in fact was a shoulder mount VHS camcorder bolted to their roll cage, taping during the race. Oh, and that's not all. When they were done, eject the VHS tape, put it in the VCR that they brought, and then it's going into a Zenith TV
console TV.
Inside the console, the wooden console, inside their driver's lounge, which was made up of a bunch of tarps, and they would watch their VHS video over beers after the end of the session for the day. The whole thing was so incredible that it was just a slam dunk IOE.
Here's LeMons in a nutshell.